I said good morning, everybody. Good morning. There we go. Awesome, awesome. You guys, what a great looking crowd we have. Fabulous special guests from both inside and outside Sellstate. We are getting set to get underway. You know, we had a 9 o'clock scheduled meeting, but you know, it's a room full of realtors, so we figured we'd get started about 9:15. So I told Neil, turn your microphone on at 9:15 and we'll get going. So welcome everybody to the listing machine, okay, a presentation by Sellstate's president, Neil Cresswell. So when you look in the dictionary, you look up the words listing machine, there's a picture of Neil. Literally, he's a machine. So at this point, I'm gonna turn it over to Neil, and he's gonna help, so one other thing I wanna go over, just some quick math for you. So I believe the expectation of today, if I was sitting in these chairs, would be in listening to the tips and the tools and the techniques that he's going to share with you. I think a reasonable expectation would be that should result in one extra listing every other month.
That'd be nice.
That's the expectation. That after today, when you walk out this door, but it's going to take, you're going to need to do something. You're going to have to take action. Don't just take notes. Take action. And the expectation should be, if you do what he teaches you, if you do what he tells you, you should get one extra listing every other month. So where's Roy Smith? I was doing some math this morning. You know, our average sale price at the board's 125, down in the villages it's about 2.25 or 250. So one extra listing every other month, that's 6 listings. The economic impact of this morning should result in somewhere, depending if you're Ocala or the villages based, an increase in GCI of anywhere from $26,000 to $36,000. And after all, that's why you guys are here. So this is a special guy, and I'm looking forward to today, but think about this. You need to take action, just don't take notes. Neil, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. What's he talking about? One listing every 2 months? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Let's take about one listing every 2 weeks extra. Who wants that? Cheers, right? Who in this room wants to make a lot of money this year? Not everybody. That always baffles me, you know? It always and you know, when I say a lot of money, you know, when I talk about a lot of money, I mean buy your mother a Bentley for Christmas type of money. Who wants that, right? That's great. Now more hands go up. Yeah. Well, it's great to want to do those things, but I guess the next question is who is willing to do what it takes? You know, I've been in the business close to 30 years now. I started off as a young man in my early 20s. Pretty humble background. My mother was a school teacher. My father worked in the mines. We didn't have a lot of money. I did not have the money to go to college because I would have to get my own education. And you know, as a young guy growing up in Canada, it was better for me to go out and get a job, work in the mines like my father did and like my uncles did and everybody else did. But it was, I hated it. You know, I had a job where I had to, and no exaggeration, I worked in a uranium mine. And when I took my coveralls off at the end of the day, they literally could stand them up. You could let them go and they would stand up on their own. They're so dirty. And all I wanted was a job that I could have a shower before I go to work rather than after work, right? Yeah. And real estate certainly, you know, offered that. You know, today, what I would like to do, and you know, I've sat in front of many rooms, and throughout my career and the success that I've had in sales, I've had, you know, thousands of realtors come to me and say, you know, what makes you different? You know, what have you done that's so different? And I think the biggest thing is that today is not, I'm not going to give you a secret bullet, because there is no secret bullet, right? I had so many people, you have no idea, came up to me, make an appointment, they come into my office as a broker, and they sit in front of me and say, okay, what is it? What is it? What are you doing that makes you different? Because I'm going to do that too, and I'm going to go and sell 500 houses this year. First off, you have to be willing to challenge yourself. Today, if anything, that I would feel very proud if you could leave here and leave in a position where you're going to grow personally. That you're going to grow personally. I think more so than affecting your actions, I want to affect your mind. Because if I can affect your mind, that is going to affect the results in your day-to-day business and in your home lives and everything how you're operating. You have to be willing to change things up. Everybody in this room, and I know quite a few of you, we have some absolute rock stars in this room amongst the real estate community that are doing absolutely fantastic. But you come back to that old adage, it's what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing.
Right? Doing the same thing and expecting different results. So you have to be willing to change things up. I take a look at real estate and I see an agent that works 40 hours a week and they sell 10 houses a year. And I see somebody who works 40 hours a week and they sell 30 houses a year. Would you agree that that happens?
Absolutely.
Right? I see people who work 40 hours a week and sell 100 houses a year. So what's the difference between the person who's working 40 hours and selling 10 and working 40 hours and selling 50 houses?
Working smart.
Well, it usually doesn't come down to that they're smarter. It's typically not that. There's a whole bunch of things, but a lot of it is up here. There's a lot of things that we deal with as far as fear in the industry. But so some of the things I'm going to challenge you with, and some of the first things I'm going to start off with is, you hear that adage, work smarter, not harder. Somebody just said that, right? Work smarter, not harder, right? I would have realtors that would come to me and they'd say, I never want to sell houses like Cresswell. Are you kidding? Early in my career, like selling 200 houses a year. My first year in the business, I sold over 200 homes. And I had people said, are you crazy? I never want to sell that. And I would look at them saying, are you crazy? What are you talking about? Why would you not? Because they thought I worked too hard. But the reality is the more I sold, the less I worked. I owned 200 apartments. I had 3 health clubs, 2 construction companies, 6 real estate brokerages, and I owned a national real estate region in Canada called Sutton Group, which is the second largest real estate company in Canada. So my sales, how much time did I put into selling real estate, right? But it was all with Sims. So we talk about working smarter, not harder. So I get that phone. We used to, actually, here was a really good thing I used to do at seminars. If your phone rang during the seminar, what I would do is take your phone and then we would auction it off. We would auction it off to the highest bidder. And and then we would give that money to charity. Actually, I was at a seminar once, it was really funny. I was at a conference and underneath one of the tables we found a man's wedding ring. We auctioned that off. Man, did it go for a lot of money. Guess who bought it? So we talk about working smarter, not harder. So, people that have listened to me before know a little bit about my background, but I'm going to share it with you because as I grew older, I found out this is kind of a little bit unique on how I started. Because you wonder, how does somebody get in the business and sell 200 houses first year? Pretty bizarre, right? Well, I was an entrepreneur from the day I was born. I had businesses when I was this high, and I'm not going to bore you with all the stories, but I was absolutely an entrepreneur as a little kid, and I had businesses when I was 13, 14 years old that made actually decent money. So as I grew older, and then I got a job in the mines, which I absolutely hated when I was 18 years old, I said I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be a business person. I never went to college, but I considered myself a very learned person. I would study and research and take courses on entrepreneurship and teaching myself that I wanted to be one of these entrepreneurs. And I would read books and autobiographies on entrepreneurs. And I would take college courses on just studying business and things like that. So I finally came to the decision when I was in my early 20s that the business path that I wanted to choose was real estate. The reasons why I chose real estate, and I think it was a great decision. I really believe that first off is I had no money, right? So I couldn't go open up a shoe store or a coffee shop. I didn't have the money, resources to do that. So it was inexpensive to get in. For a couple $1,000, I got my license and I was on the board. The inventory that I needed was the MLS, right? So I had billions of dollars in real estate to sell. I didn't have to pay for that inventory. And also, when I looked at real estate, there was no ceiling. There's no ceiling in real estate. You know, you can make $100,000 a year, you can make $1 million a year, you can make a lot more than that. Business offers so much opportunity. So I said, what a great venue. So what I did, I knew through my studies in entrepreneurship that if I wanted to do something in business, regardless of what field I chose, I wanted to be the very best at it in not only my city, but in the nation. So how are you going to be the best? Well, I figured I had to learn off the best. I got my real estate license. I never sold a house for 6 months. I took the first 6 months and I went and visited the 6 highest producing realtors in North America. Very interesting story is I picked up the phone and I called them. 6 out of 6 invited me down. You know, I was this young kid. I'm in my early 20s. I was, a hick from Canada. I didn't know anything. So obviously I was no competition. They said, listen, if you're coming on your own dime, come on down and see me. Like I said, I had no money. I could tell you endless stories about the nasty hotels that I'd slept in. I used to bring a sleeping bag because I wouldn't sleep in the beds. I'd leave the lights on at night. I'd actually slept in the chairs because I wouldn't get in the bed. Things were tight. So I went and visited these 6 highest producing agents. And when I visited them, I took studious notes. I took hundreds of pages right with one of these. I watched how they did their marketing. I watched how they ran the buyer's agents. I watched how they ran their administration teams. Now sometimes I got to see like the rainmaker, the team leader. Sometimes I didn't even spend any time with them. I was fortunate that a couple of them even took me on listing presentations. I could tell you amazing stories of the stuff that I saw over that 6 months. So I would go for a week and I would study their business. And I would take hundreds of pages of notes, and then I would come back, and for 3 weeks I studied and researched what they did and got that down pat, and then I'd jump on a plane and go see the next person, spend a week with them, take hundreds of pages of notes, come back, study, practice, role play, learn my stuff. So after 6 months, and now I'm totally broke, I have my real estate license, I'm saying, okay, well now I gotta do this. I need to go out and sell real estate. But I got into real estate with a very different mindset. Every realtor that I visited was selling between 500 and 1,000 homes per year. They were monsters, just monsters. I could say stories about many of them, but it was overwhelming to watch. But I came back with this great realization. The first thing I realized was this, is that I could do it. I knew I could do it. There's nothing special about those people. There's not one thing that made, they weren't all, a certain sex or religion, or they didn't look the same. They were all this unique bundle of realtors, right? So I knew I had the confidence that I could do this. But the second thing I realized that they were masters. They were masters. They knew their trade so well. You hear them on the phones, they were so smooth. Objectionable handling technique. Prospecting every single day, picking up the phone, calling expireds for sale by owners, and their marketing, the way they did their marketing, the way they ran their businesses were absolutely incredible. The top agent I saw was an agent in Chicago. He was the #1 agent, did over 1,000 units, made over $7 million a year because he owned title and he owned mortgage and he invested like crazy and huge money. And he was a prospecting machine. He sat in a chair. He had 2 assistants sitting at his side, literally. They're dialing and getting hold of people, expireds for sale by owners, just cold call prospecting, all the high rises in downtown Chicago. And when they get a hotline, they would pass it to him. And he's just this machine on the phones. He controlled that market so much that he would be livid if he see a listing come up in one of what he would call his buildings, these high rises, with another agent. He would actually call the sellers and say, what are you thinking? Why did you list with them? Don't you know who I am? I do all the selling in here. But, it was certainly, awe-inspiring to see. So I came back and I said, well, they are masters. I need to be a master. I need to learn this trade better than anybody. So then is when the education began. I invested a lot of money in, I went to see every speaker. I would buy tapes and CDs and, you know, literally sitting at my kitchen table. And I remember, you know, sitting at my kitchen table with a notepad like this, listening to whatever speaker it might have been. It could have been a Mike Ferry, or it could have been, in those days, a Floyd Wickman, actually, going back 25 years ago, if anybody's been around that long, you know, with the Sweat Hog course, and taking notes and studying. You know, I go into the office and I grab realtors that were there, and I would do role playing, and they'd like they thought I was mental. Like, what do you mean, you want to do role playing? I'm like, yeah, I want to practice my scripts. I want to learn this stuff. And you know, so I started practicing. Well, the first year I sold 200 homes. You know, because I took real estate on as a business. I did not get into this as a real estate salesperson. I got into this as an entrepreneur that was going to build a business. So, you know, when you talk about, you know, working smarter, not harder, you know, this business, I'm going to tell you, it's easy. This is an easy business. You know, for a 20-some-year-old hit from Canada that doesn't know a whole lot about anything, to get into the business and do as well as I did, it pretty much proved to everybody that you can do it. So I'm going to tell you, you know, when I came back with the realization that I could do this, you can do it too. Every single person in this room, I have no question, has the ability to hit greatness far greater than you ever even imagined. But what I asked at the beginning is, who is willing to do what it takes to get there? Right? Who's willing to do what it takes? Because it's not following the stream of commonality where everybody else is going. It's doing things a little bit different. You know, today's topic on is listing machines. You know, it was obvious after I visited those 6 agents. What do you think those 6 top agents in the world did? Listings. It's listings. That's what it's all about. That is the name of the game. You cannot sell 500 houses a year. I don't even think you can sell 200 houses a year if you're working with buyers. There's no way. It's too time consuming. But also listings, what do listings get? Well, you know, they create lead generation for you because you have signage on there. You get more referrals from listings than you do off of buyers. They're so much easier to maintain. I'll tell you, you tell me, go out and work with 200 buyers at one time or handle 200 listings at one time. You know, 200 listings isn't easy to manage. You know, my inventory I would carry was between about 150 and 200 listings is about what my inventory was. And that, you know, sure, absolutely that was a lot of work, but I'll tell you, you try to juggle 200 buyers at the same time.
Impossible.
Try to handle a dozen. Good luck. You know, let them go show a couple more short sales and put 15 offers on, and, you know, it's not going to happen. So, you know, look at this. So we know where the business is. We know listings is the name of the game. But, you know, so what are you doing to capture that? Now, so back to where people come to see me. What makes you different? Right? What is your secret pill? Well, the number one tip I can give you is education. You need to educate yourself. And I'm going to tell you, you don't lean on your broker, because it's not going to be your broker. Like, what are you doing to be a master? What sort of things have you done? You need to spend more time on yourself. In business, there's 2 investments you have to make. Typically an investment of time and of money, right? Those are the 2 investments. And the time investment is the most valuable part of the investment. Think about your investment in time over the last 7 days in real estate. Where did you invest that time, and how much of that time did you invest into you? Because the largest investment in time should be invested into you. What are you spending time in yourself, educating yourself? You know, how great is your listing presentation? How well do you know social media marketing? You know, how well do you know the portals like Zillow, Truly, and all those sort of things, exactly how they work, and exactly how you can generate more leads out of them? What have you done to educate yourself, to make sure that you are the master? You know, that's the first thing you need to challenge yourself. You know, you need to read every single day. Nowadays, it's so much easier. When I got in this business almost 30 years ago, trust me, we had no YouTube, we had no internet, so we had to buy books and travel and do things like that. Nowadays, pick up YouTube. I do a lot of training with real estate agents. I was helping an agent out just this week. And so I was YouTubing, which I still do every day. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, first 2 hours of the day, I'm studying, I'm researching. You know, I'm on YouTube, and so I YouTubed listing presentation. Expired listing scripts. expired listing scripts, right? Come up with a bunch of Tom Ferry scripts and I saw a whole bunch of series, and these scripts are fantastic. So does this stuff roll off your tongue? Now tell me, okay, so probably around 75 people. How many people this week called expired listings? Put up your hands. Okay, so 3. Hey, that's awesome. This business is so easy. Who wants to make a lot of money? Okay, so how many people this week, here's even a better one, called for sale by owners? Oh wow, that's even better. Okay, cool. So we're about 5 or 6. So look at your competition. It's bizarre. So I have all these people in the marketplace that have their hand up that say they want to sell their house, right? And that's only 2 avenues right now, for sale by owners, expired listings. And you guys are making too much money, or you're just too busy to call them. Because they want to sell their house, right? They all got their hands up. So why aren't you calling them? The most important job you have to do. So today I said I'm going to challenge you. The most important thing you have to do every single day is prospect. Every single day. If you do a good job at this, you're going to look back at your income and you're going to find out that almost 100% of your income is going to come from prospecting. So, now to do it effectively, you want to be a master. How are you going to be a master? You've got to educate yourself. Do things like, Google listing presentation. Google, or go on YouTube. Expired listing calls. Watch them. And don't just watch them. Study this. Study it. Imagine, I always had a dream. I said, I would love to start a real estate college. I think my daughter just graduated UCF, about a year now. So she's a nurse. So she went through 4 years of college, and it wasn't easy. You went heavy workload. She's a brilliant child. She studied a lot, and it was a heavy workload for her, a lot of stress. She came through, straight A's, of course. Awesome, right? But, I look at what she went through. Now look at us as real estate. Now if you're good at this business, the sky's the limit. Conservative income's $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year is what I would consider conservative income. So the upside is so huge, and matter of fact, if you start making income like that, you're going to find life is going to get better. You're not going to work as hard. You're going to have assistants. You're going to take more time off. You're going to enjoy things better. Now, go back to the college. I could imagine getting a group of 100 students and and I wouldn't need 4 years. Give me a year. Give me a year with you, and you come to my classes every single day. By the end of that year, you're going to be absolute master of the listing presentation. You're going to have a digital presentation. You're going to have something that's going to look stunning. You're going to be so good in your scripts because you're going to spend hundreds or thousands of hours of calling expireds and for sale by owners, and you're going to know every single objection handling technique there is. So when you call, you're going to get it. I relate to a story that, when you get really good at this, believe it or not, it becomes fun. When I used to go out for dinner with my wife, and I'd be driving along, I don't know if this ever happens, driving along the road out to dinner, and I see a for sale by owner. So I don't know what you see when you see a for sale by owner sign. I'm going to tell you what I see. I see a stack of $100 bills that are about this high. No, really. Now think about it. You're driving down the road. If you saw a stack of $100 bills about this high, would you bother stopping picking it up? Right? I would. Well, I'm not exact. That's the way my mind works. Because I knew that if that was a listing in my area, and I put it in my pipeline, and I aggressively pursued it, and I knew that not necessarily I'm going to get it when I go knock on their door, but I had an 80% chance of getting that listing if it got in my pipeline. 80% of them list. Did you know that? 80% of them list. So, I'd be going out for dinner. My wife would just scream, "Stop! No, we're going for dinner." I said, "Please, just 1 minute. I just want to stop in and introduce myself." And I would stop. And you know what? If I put it in my pipeline, I would get it. Now, but because I had the ability, I knew it wasn't by chance. So the number one investment, the first thing I'm going to challenge you is educate yourself. Travel. Travel to seminars. Go see speakers. I have been to all of them several times. I started off with, the Mike Ferry seminars, okay? So Mike Ferry is good at, everybody has their own field. So Mike Ferry is good at prospecting, expired listings for sale by owner sort of stuff, right? So he's great at that. Tom Ferry, his son, So he's much more new age. He'll educate you on social media, how to market yourself better, help you with your listing presentations more, things like that. We have Craig Proctor, right? Craig Proctor is a master at direct response marketing. You know, so for marketing tools, he's an absolute master. And you go to his seminars and you learn his techniques and you copy them exactly. I couldn't tell you the lead generation from Proctor alone, I would pull in on average 300 to 500 leads a week. A week. It was like a funnel this big is what I would say. Here's the leads coming in, and I want to take the little drops at the end, right? The cherries that would come out of all those leads. You know, Buffini, client for life, right? Follow-up system. So when you do get a client, you know, to make sure that client lasts you forever. You know, if you go to any of these speakers, they don't play nice together, right? So Mike Ferry tells you, oh, you shouldn't spend any money on marketing. So, you know, Craig Proctor's a waste of time. Well, that's stupid, you know? And Proctor says, you know, if you use my system, you don't have to pick up the phone and prospect. Well, that's stupid too. And then, you know, some of them just turn and burn clients so fast that they don't follow up with them. You know, like Buffini teaches you that once you get a client, you've got that client yours for life. So, you know, master them all. If you master all of these people, and that's what I did. I used all their systems. So that, but what did I do? I invest. And I was in Canada when I did, you know, you're fortunate here in Central Florida, Orlando, all these people come to Orlando or Miami or Tampa, like you're close. You can go, so are you spending time? And when you go to them, you don't just go there and listen, you go there, buy their tapes, learn their scripts, come back, study. Who wants to make a lot of money? Are you willing to do what it takes? Think about this. There's something that we talk about is, you know, when you have trainers, it's called blind faith. It's just like leading by blind faith. The fortunate thing when I was so young, and I went and met all these absolute mega agents, is I didn't know a thing, right? I was a dummy. I'm still a dummy. But I didn't know anything. And I would absolutely listen and watch and learn, and that was a big advantage for me because I didn't have any knowledge or I just didn't know anything, so I picked it all up. You have to be the same. I don't care if you've been in the business for a year, or you've been in the business for 10 years. You can always improve your career. You know, schedule every day. You seriously have to schedule it. And what do you have to do? You put it in your CRM and you make a point. This is the most important appointment you have of the day, is the appointment for you to get better at something. You know, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. So take a topic. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's scripts for sale by owners or expired listings or improving your listing presentation or learning multimedia marketing. You know, we should talk about horse racing, right? Or no cow. And I forgive you, I forgot my cowboy boots today. Think that's funny? No, but to become a master at anything, it takes practice. But look at us as realtors, right? We go out, we take a couple of week course, we get our license. You know, we go to our broker's training class every week or once every 2 weeks. We hear a title person. You know, are we truly masters? When I walk into a for sale by owner door, if I'm so how would you like to have that confidence that you walk into a for sale and you know every time you're going to get it? You know, a really good part of my story was, so I was this young kid, and then I told you what happened, right? I went and sold a bunch of houses, built this big team, and had this big company. So one day in 1999, life was pretty good. I was spending about a week a month in Florida. I was really liking Florida, you know? And business was good, and I had things running pretty well. So I'm on vacation here a lot. So I'm sitting on the beach with my wife one day. It was in May, and I said, you know what? I've been working my butt off to try to acquire enough wealth to retire young, but guess what? I'm never going to retire. I love what I do. What am I going to do? I'm not going to sit at home and watch television. I'm not going to play golf. That's just not me. I just love what I do. So I'm like, why are we waiting? Let's move to Florida. So I moved. I went back to Canada. I packed up all of my bags, sold all of my businesses, and I moved to Florida. Well, when I did that, you should have saw the impact on the marketplace, was because nobody could believe it, you know, including my family. My family thought I was absolutely gone mental. So my father-in-law, the grandfather of my 2 children, his only 2 grandchildren, I have twins, At that point, it was a little boy and a girl, Taylor and Kelsey, 5 years old. And I'm gonna pack my bags and move from Ontario to Florida. So he wasn't really excited about that. So he sat me down and he had this talk with me. 2 hours. He took me in his house, in his little den, and he hammered me for 2 hours, telling me all the things and all the reasons I should not move. You know, he's telling me that, you know, I was the most successful businessman that he knew at that point. I had the big house on the lake and the fancy cars and European vacations, and life was so good. He's like, you're gonna give all of this up and you're gonna move to Florida where you know nobody, you have no friends, you have no family, you don't know anything about real estate in Florida, you don't even have a real estate license in Florida, and you're gonna pack it all up and start all over again just like college. And I listened to him for 2 hours, and then after 2 hours speech, I looked at him in the eye. His name was Dick. Very appropriate, actually. I'm not joking, that was his name. His name was Dick. And I looked at him, I said, Dick, I said, do you think I got here because I was lucky? I didn't get here because I was lucky. I got here because I'm a master. I know what I'm doing. And the knowledge that I've acquired over the last 15 years is going to make it that much easier for me when I move down to Florida. So, you know, I had the confidence. I packed my bags. I sold my business as I came down to Florida. I didn't have a broker's license. Got a job at Century 21 office in Cape Coral, Florida. That's where I moved. I found it on the internet, you know, researching. I liked it because I like boating and they had lots of canals, and you know, I thought it was a nice small community, safe for my children. So, you know, did all that sort of research because I could have moved anywhere. I had the aspirations to open up Sellstate. I knew that I wanted to do a national company because I was involved with a national company in Canada as a regional owner. So that was my aspiration. So anyways, I pulled into the Century 21 office. So when I moved from Canada, here I moved from where it's freezing cold, man. Trust me, there's no convertibles in Canada. Not where I lived. It was nasty. So the first thing I bought was a brand new convertible Mercedes SL. Brand new black, tan leather interior. I bought it right off the showroom floor. So I'm out looking for a job. I pull into this Century 21 brokerage, and I was a little bit of an ego in those days, gotta admit. You know, so I pull in front of the Century 21 office, and I park my car right in front of the doors. I walk in, I sit down, I had an appointment with the broker. The guy's name was Joe. I sit in Joe's office, and he wasn't there yet. So I could hear him coming through the office, and you could hear him talking because it was a stunning car. It was right off the showroom floor, men in cars, right? So you could hear him going, whose car is that out front? Whose car is that in front? I could hear this, and I'm sitting there, a big smile on my face. Comes walking into the office, he sits down and goes, who are you? I go, my name's Neil Cresswell. He says, I'm like, that's my car out there. He goes, wow. He said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm looking for a job. I'm a real estate agent. He goes, great, you're hired. Right? But showing you the impact of knowing the business. So you can imagine, this is no exaggeration, I didn't know anything. It's no different than picking you up today and dropping you off in Seattle. Put you in Seattle today, put you in a brokerage office. It takes you a while to get your first listing, right? First closing, get acclimated. My 10th month in Florida, I was the highest producing agent in the entire state. I closed $150 million my first 10 months here.
Florida's a good market.
Florida's a great market. My average sale price in those days, I had to sell a lot of houses. I think the average sale price was probably about what yours was, 120, 150,000. But, you know, and that's not bragging rights, that's just showing you systems. How did I do that? Well, I took the exact same systems I was using there and used them down here. My first day at the office, I walked in, I had two assistants that started with me my first day, and the broker thought that was bizarre. Like, who are you? You have no listings, you have no buyers, you don't have a single ad, you got two assistants, you have no business. But I knew there's a lot of things that need to be done that I could not do, working on the websites and working on lead generation, all these things that have to be done. So he puts me, it's so funny, he puts me in this office, brown paneling, a brown desk, and brown shag carpet. It was nasty. It was in the year, I think, 2000. So I'm sitting at this desk by myself. Now, moving from Canada, I had the second floor office, all the windows. You know, I had all those apartments and brokerages and hundreds of sales, and I was this rock star and teams, and would you like a coffee, Mr. Cresswell? Yeah, well, here I am by myself in this stinky brown office. I have my laptop in front of me, and this actually is very emotional for me. It almost brings tears to my eyes, this story, because, you know, I opened that up, my laptop, and I looked around, I'm like, here I am again, I gotta start over. And I did. And what I did is I picked up that phone, and you know what I did? I called expired listings and for sale by owners. The date was March 11th. By March 30th, I was listing agent of the month. I listed 9 homes, which I didn't think was really great. You know, I was used to listing 7 to 10 a week, so 9 homes in 2 weeks wasn't great, but I was still, I think the top listing agent in that company listed like 3 or 4, and I listed 9, right? So, so you know what, the broker, he kind of freaked out, and he's like, wow, you know, he's like, you did so well. Everybody's wondering, you're this Canadian guy, you don't have any connections here, what the heck are you doing? And I, nothing special. He's like, well, everybody wants to know, will you do a meeting? I'm like, yeah, I guess. He said, okay, well, so he publicized like these guys, this big meeting, and he had this big office with double round staircase and this huge office. There was 200 and some realtors working on that office. So, and he promoted that I was gonna be there. I'm gonna share my secrets on how I list all these properties. So I walk into the office that day, and the place is full. Everybody is there to see me, because they wanna know what my secret is, right? Of course, everybody wants to know my secret. And Joe makes this big thing, the broker, oh, this Neil Cresswell, he just came to the market, and he listed 9, and he's already got 3 more this week, and blah, 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 blah. And he introduces me, and I walk out, and I'm like this, and I'm like, because I'm not a public speaker. And I'm like, well, they asked me to share for you how I get all my listings. I'm like, I call expired listings for sale by owners. Thank you. Right? Who wants to make a lot of money? Look at your competition. There's no competition, so, you know, invest. You know, we talk about, you know, about the investment in time and money. The highest returns is absolutely what you invest in yourself. You know, become an expert at your listing presentation. I do this as a broker. Who, first off, even has a listing presentation? Do you have a listing presentation that when you walk into a homeowner's house, that you walk in with an iPad or some electronic device and you flip from page to page, you show them your marketing, you show them your social media profiles, you show them your photography, you show them the, you know, certifications that you might have, you show them all, like that you're an absolute master. Do you have that? You know, I'm telling you, 8 out of 10 realtors go in and try to make friends with people. They don't have a set presentation. My presentation was so set from the minute I knock on the door. You know, I knock on the door, hello, Neil, they come in, would you like to see the house? No, I never see the house right off the bat. No, I'd like to sit down and talk to you. Oh, come on, sit down here. No, can we sit at the kitchen table because I know I'm going to show them my presentation. I don't even want to see the house. I take control of the presentation. There's places you can learn how to do this. If you don't have a presentation, go online and Google listing presentation. Spend $300 and you could actually, there's some awesome listing presentations that you can get that will make you look like a rock star. Take a look at them, learn them, study them, buy one, invest in one. This is a business. It's a business. You have to invest in it. Advertise, spend money. Spend money. I'm talking, okay, so I've talked about expired listings for sale by owner. Spend money on advertising. You have, but, you know, I couldn't tell you how many times I have heard, you know, oh, advertising doesn't work. Oh, print advertising doesn't work. You know why? That's because you suck at writing ads. I'm honest. Have you been trained? I am telling you, I would get 3, to this day, I could put an ad in the real estate book and I can guarantee you I could almost get 10 times as many calls as you'll get. Because that ad is designed, it has direct response sort of marketing. It drives traffic to my website. I wish I had one. I'll pick up a copy. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, beautiful remodeled kitchen, granite top, stainless steel appliances. Who freaking cares, really? Every house says that. You know, people buy on emotion. You know, when I tell somebody a house is 2,200 square feet, opposed to, you know, okay, let's do an experiment. When I say a home is great for entertaining, describe the home.
Open. It's got a wonderful lanai, beautiful pool.
Nice and high pool, yeah.
Open.
Nice and open.
Open floor plan.
Open floor plan. Okay, you know, so great for entertaining. Opposed to 2,200 square feet. You know, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Listen, every house in America is 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. The public assumes that. If it's 4 bedrooms, put it in there, but if it's not, don't. Why do we advertise?
Get the phone ringing.
Get the phone to ring, exactly. So if you think, and the even funny one, which is that 2-car garage, and you're looking at a photo, say, oh really? That's awesome. I'm really going to call that guy. So you need to learn, and not to criticize, but I see this every day. I go through the real estate book, 90% of the ads, like who calls? I can tell you a story. I got this one guy, one of my buyer's agents. He was livid. He was ready to quit my team. Because he had a call from a gentleman in Texas on one of my ads. He's like, I am so mad at you. I'm like, what did I do? He said, I got a call on our listing on blah, blah, blah street. Yeah, that's awesome. It's like a $2.5 million listing. He's like, yeah, but first off, he said it was 11,000 square feet. It's only like 6,500. I'm like, no, total square footage was 11. Under air, maybe 6,500. So what am I going to put? 6,500 under air, 11,000 total. I just put 11,000 square feet, right? Also, amazing Gulf views. So he thought it was on the beach. Well, this house was designed as Key West style with the Widow's Walk and that little deck right on top. And if you got on that deck and stood on the edge of the railing and tippy toes, you could look right over all the mangroves, and the Gulf was awesome. It was. It was beautiful. So, here's this guy, and I said, hold on a minute. I said, did you get an appointment with him? He goes, yeah, he's flying in on Tuesday. Matter of fact, I'm picking him up at the airport. Yet I was the one that screwed up, right? Why do we advertise? So become an expert. You could study. You could learn from some of the best people. I have learned from some of the best people, and I'll tell you, the number of ad calls that I would get on my ads after taking because I used to write them the same way, 3-2, So now think about this, become a master at that. So then go take a full page in the real estate book. What's the investment? $500 a page? $6,000 a year. So you sell 2 houses and it's sold. You can put 15 homes on a 1-page ad in the real estate book. And I'll just use that as one example. I don't know what advertising mediums are hot in your area. But for $500, I could put 15 homes. You don't have to put 15. I had 150 listings, and I never put my own listings in there. Because what I wanted to do is have 15 different demographics. So it didn't matter who was buying a house, there was going to be a house in there. I'm going to have a $150,000 home. I'm going to have a $500,000 home. I'm going to have a farm. I'm going to have an investment property. I'm going to have a condo. I'm going to have a house in this area, in that area. So why do we advertise? To get the phone to me. So I would strategically, how I would do my ads is take a piece of paper, I would do 15 blocks and write the 15 demographics that I want in there, and then I would search the MLS, or I'd ask agents in my office if I could advertise their homes. I didn't care. I'm not trying, people, do we advertise to sell the homes? No, to get the phones through. So that, but invest your money. Little classified ads in the newspaper, where everybody's looking under the for sale by owners. I put ads in there. Learn about direct response advertising. Go to Break Product. Spend money. You have to spend money. Take a look at your marketplace right now. Are your top agents investing in their business? Your returns are huge. I typically, what I look for my return was about 10-1. So if I spent $1,000, I wanted $1,000. If I spent $1,000, I wanted a $10,000 return. Real estate will give you those returns. So what are you doing to invest in your business? I hear people that tell me, oh, Zillow doesn't work. I never get it. I'm like, okay, there's 100 million unique viewers go to Zillow a month. And guess why they're going there? Look for houses. Pretty good chances that some of the buyers in this area are going to Zillow. Well, I never get a lead. I paid for a zip code. Okay, so what does your profile look? How many testimonials do you have? How's your reviews? How well are you reviewed on there? What are your reviews saying? You know what my reviews say? Not what my clients want, exactly what I want them to say, right? That's what they say. I say, hey, Mr. Seller, I just sold your house on Hickory Street. I'd love you to, and I know it's a hassle because you've got to log into Zillow and password and everything else, but I get a lot of my business from Zillow. So you do me a huge favor and do a testimonial. Matter of fact, all you have to do is cut and paste it. That's not, serious. And then when I said, Neil Cresswell, such amazing agent. I had my house on the market with another realtor for 6 months and couldn't sell it. Neil raised the price of it $10,000 and sold it in 3 weeks. I would suggest you strongly sell your home with Neil. Make it easy for them. I don't want to say, oh, Neil's such a nice guy. I love his navy suit. Like, who? Come on, write the testimonials. But so if you want leads, you got how many? Okay, so if you look at your Zillow reviews, I did a meeting 2 weeks ago with a group of realtors, and it was a workshop, and they all brought their computers, and I pulled out all the reviews from Zillow, Homes, Trulia, Realtor.com, and look at their profiles. No wonder you're not getting leads, man. It's and some of them had didn't even know. Oh, I had 2 profiles on Zillow, and the one that was pulling up when a consumer went to their listing, it's stunk. At Sellstate, what we offer is every single agent at Sellstate, when you have a listing and a consumer goes to your listing, you pop up 100% of the time. That is so invaluable, because typically if a consumer goes to a listing on Zillow, even if it's your listing, if you're not a Sellstate agent, guess what? You're not showing up, right? Unless you're paying for that zip code. At Sellstate, you're gonna get it every time. So what does your profile look like? What are your other online? Have you Googled your name? Have you Googled your name? Have you looked, are you on Yelp? Did you look at yourself on Yelp? Consumer reviews are today what some of the most important reasons they choose an agent. In the old days, I'm old, right? I've been doing this 30 years. In my day, that when my mother was a school teacher, so another teacher at school was selling their house, she would say, oh, my son is the greatest real estate agent in the world. Of course, she would call me. They don't do that right now. Over 75% of consumers, when they're given a referral now, they check you out online first. They're not just gonna go to you. That's like my best friend. I'll tell you, I love him to death. A Canadian friend of mine. When he tells me to go to a restaurant, there's no friggin' way I'm going there. This guy has the worst taste in the friggin' world. I am not going there. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna go online, I'm gonna check out the reviews, and if it looks decent, I'll go there. And usually they stink, so I'm not going. So what is your online presence? So this is all about becoming a master, doing those sort of things. Your website. Sellstate agents, you all have websites. So how have you cultivated that website? I see some of our websites within Sellstate are just crazy. They're Ferraris, man. They are. Some websites that you guys have made on your home's websites are just stunning, and some of them, I don't even know why you turn them on, because they stink. I shouldn't say they stink. They're decent. They're better than most, because at least they're attached to an actual lead source, homes.com, so that's awesome. So if you turn it on, it's better than 90% of them. But it's so easy to customize it, and there's videos to it, so becoming a master, making yourself a lot better. We talk about some of the things that you need to do. Your business plan in writing. How many have their business plan in writing? Okay, so that's scary. That is one of the most scary things. So when I started, and I became a group of the top 100 agents in North America, where we would do conference calls once a month, meetings once a year, and we just exchanged ideas on marketing and what's going on in the market and how to sell more real estate. I can guarantee you 100% of those people have business plans in writing. You can look under business, Harvard Business School, and Google business plans on there. The statistics are absolutely astounding on the results that you get by just putting a plan in writing. Just by putting your thoughts down on paper, because then it's something that you can go to, you can refer to. Oh, I'm going to spend more money in advertising. I'm taking a full ad in the real estate book. I'm going to go over, increase my online visibility. I'm going to, blah, 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 and I'm going to have it done when, and I'm going to have goals and how it's going to happen. And you refer to it every month, and you go back to it. Your business will change. So, you talk about now, who is willing to do what it takes to make that lots of money? A business plan in writing. You have to have a business. And as simple as that sounds, sometimes things are almost psychological that we do. So I say that I was the dummy that did not know anything, so I just listened to my mentors. So they said, do you need a business plan in writing? I'm like, okay, what's that? What a business plan? I'm like, that scared the beans out of me. I'm thinking, oh, Harvard. I don't have a Harvard degree. You don't need a Harvard degree. You do not need a Harvard degree. You're a broker, if you're a Real Estate broker, these guys will help you out with a business plan. But it's something, it's a must do. A CRM, probably one of the most essential tools in the industry. First off, who is using a CRM daily here? Okay, that's actually pretty strong. Usually there's not 20% of the room doing it, probably around there. CRM. Okay, so if you don't have one, I'm gonna tell you, you want to leave here today and get one. First off, you're a Sellstate agent, you have one already. So the ones that didn't put their hand up, you have one as part of your power suite with automatic drip campaigns, and so it's a basic CRM. If you're a high producing realtor, I'll be the first one to tell you that CRM, seeing that only 20% of the realtors in the nation have CRMs, that CRM is good for about 80% of the realtors. For the top 20% in the industry, they need something with more juice, more power. So you're gonna go to a realty juggler, top producer, if you're a real mega star, you need to go to one of these CRMs. That's the single most important tool with the highest return. Highest return is the CRM. So if you don't have a CRM, honestly, I cannot fathom, it's unimaginable to me to be in this business without, I don't know how you could do, you can't do a good job. It's impossible. To incubate a lead, you have to touch them at least 10 times now. So if you get a lead, so here's the guys that are saying, oh, those Zillow leads stink, or I'm not getting anything on my advertising because they're not returning my call. You get a lead in the real estate book, so what do? You call them, you text them, if you have an email out, you email them and they don't return your call. Oh, that lead stinks, right? You gotta touch them 10 times. 6 months to incubate a lead, 6 months. If you're a master, masters, what they do is they take every single lead, all the stuff you get off Zillow. I call them, I email them, I text them. I call them, I email for months. And you know what? That lead that you guys are saying are stinky, eventually they pop up. Ding! Oh, I've been getting all your stuff. We're coming down next month. They're gonna buy. I did a study, my own personal study of my team, going back in probably 2003 or so. So my buyer's agents were telling me that my leads stunk. Now think, I'm getting 300 to 500 leads a week, and I have one realtor that I give 2 leads to, and he sells 4 houses in a week, right? And I got another realtor I give 70 leads to and doesn't sell a house in a month, right? And that's because my leads stunk. So I actually put my administration team, we went way back, and I think and I wish I had the numbers. So we went back, I'm sure 2 years, 3 years, and we contacted 1,000 of those, because we put everybody in my CRM. We contacted 1,000 of those people. 80% of them bought, and none of them bought from my team, because we were doing but the agents weren't doing their end to follow up. So CRM, how can you run a business today if you get a lead from any source, those leads are likely not going to incubate for 6 to 12 months. So how are you going to keep up with them? So another thing is you have to build your CRM every day. So my goal is, here's another good tip. If you have a CRM, to build it every day. So when I went to my son's baseball games, when I went to my daughter's dance, when I went to events at the school, I wasn't the secret agent. I would walk around with my business card and exchange business cards, and I would get their information. I put them in my CRMs for my clients. I was a listing agent. So everybody that sold one of my listings at closing, the buyers went my CRM. Every time. And you know what? 9 times out of 10 when they're ready, I could not tell you in my career how many times I've had the call, that they say, oh, hi Neil, it's Mrs. Jones. Remember, you sold us a house 3 years ago? And I typed their name in and pop up. I didn't sell them nothing. They bought one of my listings through another agent. Their agent never kept good track. And that's what happens to all your clients. I put them all, because they never keep good track. So everybody went in my CRM, and it's so funny though, the consumer actually starts thinking that you were their agent. Right? They saw your name, you were the listed agent, and eventually they think you sold them the house. If you look statistically, home buyers were moving every 7 years on average. I heard 5 years, 7 years. Say 7 years. You have 700 people in your CRM. 700 people that know you, love you, trust you. That's 100. They're going to move every 7 years. So do the math. That's 100 sales a year. 700 people, man. Grow your CRM by 5 people a week. Put a goal in it. 5 people a week. That's 250 people a year. When I moved out of Canada, I had a lot of business I shared with you that I sold. One of them that I was most proud about is I sold my real estate sales business, which means me as a realtor. I sold myself. I sold it for over $1 million, just my sales. You know what I sold? a CRM. That's all it was. I sold the most expensive friggin' computer in the planet, I think. It wasn't in the cloud in those days, scary. I had everything backed up about 16 times. But it was, yeah, I sold my CRM. And how did I sell it for so much money? That CRM in revenue was worth to me a minimum of about $400K a year. So we figure 3 years revenue plus what they're gonna get off the spin-offs, that's gotta be worth over $1 million. The agent gladly paid me for that, and it was that agent's business. You know, he obviously did very well because he started. I trained him how to run the CRM. And when I sold it to him, I sat him in my office. I said, "Let me show you how this thing works." And so I put together, does mail merge. Of course, I was using Top Producer in those days. So I did a letter with investments, and then we did an email blast and something else. And literally, it went out, and the phone just started lighting up. Hey, man, Martha's thinking about selling. Hey, you sent over this duplex. I'm thinking about buying investment property. You think it's a good time right now? Things like that. So a CRM, again, today, I cannot give you all the nuts and bolts that's required to run a CRM. Become a master at it. Google it. YouTube it. Become a master at managing your CRM. Take courses on it. And there will be no higher return you can get. And okay, so interesting statistic. NAR states 30%, look at this room, 30% of you are out of the business in the next 3 years. Gone. And you know why, they say? Because of technology. So the agents that are not keeping abreast of technology cannot stay in the industry because they cannot compete with the mega agents that are taking larger shares. Now, you don't have to be a mega agent. I don't care if you only want to sell 10 houses a year. I always used to say this. Listen, if your goal is to sell 10 houses a year, that's awesome. Let's sell them in January and take the other 11 months off. Right? Right? Not everybody wants to sell 200 houses. I get that, and I don't even argue it. I think it's a good idea. But do the best job you can. You know what I hate to see is an agent that sells 10 houses a year and struggles to do that. If you're going to sell 10 houses a year, let's have fun with it, and let's make a lot. Let's have fun with it. Let's run an efficient business. And a CRM, like I said, I cannot stress that enough. You can buy a Realty Juggler for $100 a year. Our CRM Power Suite is absolutely free of charge with all the drip campaigns. Learn how to use it and start using those sort of things. I was talking about some of the things with listings, and I like to touch bases with things that people I know hate to do. For sale by owners is an awesome one. Like, go into forsaleby.owner.com in your marketplace right now, because I always have fun with this. It's just this huge resource of listings, and nobody's calling them. And they're so easy. They are easy to get. I could make a living off of for sale by owners. But you have to realize, for sale by owners are a process. So even though, listen, I am like freaking awesome, right? But I could not go to a for sale by owner and get them to list their house typically right off the bat. It just doesn't happen. It's a process, right? It's a relationship you have to build. I know that it takes me on average 2 to 6 weeks to list a for sale by owner. So what do? First off, I say you gotta be picky. I only put ones in my pipeline I want. By price range, I wanna know their motivation, that they're actually motivated to sell their house. And it's in the area that I want to deal with. Those are my 3 criteria. So if it's got the right price, they're motivated, it's the area I want to deal with, I put it in my pipeline. Because I can't put them all in there, there's just too many. And then the next thing I'm going to do, okay, so who wants to know, and this is a good secret, and it's as simple as this. The one secret you need to know to get 80% of for sale by owners. You like to know that? Yeah. If you're the realtor that comes to their mind first when they're thinking about listing, 80% of the time you're going to get that listing. And I think 80 is low, but they say 80. So think about that. When they think about listing their house, if you're the realtor they think about, they're going to list with you. Okay, so now, some other interesting stats. For sale by owners. I asked some people to put up their hands who called it for sale by owner, and there's a few of them. Okay. So all of those people, put your hands up again. Those people called for sale by owners. Okay, so put your hands down if you've contacted these people. You've only contacted them once, or if you contact them more than once. Okay, so that's good. The statistics are this: 90% of the realtors do not make a second contact with the for sale by owner. They call, they get an appointment because they're easy to get. You want to get into it, see if they're qualified. Here's my first qualified question. Hi, Mr. For Sale by Owner. My name's Neil Cresswell. I'm a realtor with Sellstate Realty. If I was able to bring you a contract on your home that was acceptable to you, would you be willing to pay me a commission? And they're like, well, I'm only gonna pay you 3%. Okay, 3% is great. I got them halfway there. Now, sometimes they're gonna say, no way, I'm not cooperating, blah, blah, blah. Well, then I don't, next, right? There's lots of next. So my first qualifying question is, are you willing to pay a commission? And then if they say yes, say, great. When can I come over and take a look at your home to see if it qualifies for any of my potential buyers? Now I'm in the door, and I have an awesome listing presentation. Next thing, you touch them 3 times a week. 3 times. How do you touch them? You touch them by an email, a phone call, and a visit. 3 times per week. So it's a system, right? So this is what your CRM has to do for you. So when I got a for sale by owner that's in my area, and I'm fussy on price range. I hate to say it, I'm not going after $70,000 for sale by owner. So I'll go after a $250,000 one because I know what I have to do to get that listed. So now my visits, okay, so that's the hardest thing because it's easy. Now I'm touching base. Every time I touch base when I'm doing them, I'm giving them something of value. One time I'll bring them over a HUD statement. Next time I'll bring them over an agreement of purchase and sale, or I'll email it to them. I'll bring them a brochure on how to do a proper open house. You know, how to advertise properly, whatever. You know, I'm always, every time I'm giving them something of value, one thing at a time. So I had a file of like 15 different things or 20 things, and it was here's number 1, here's number 2, here's number 3, right? So those are things that I'm giving them. How I touched them is I never went out of my way. So I could be going to a listing appointment somewhere or drop it on my dry cleaning, whatever. I knew where my target homes were, and I wanted to touch them once a week. So when I was going on my route, and I had 3, I would touch 3 a day. So I would actually stop by, physically visit, drop something off, so they knew I was there. I get the listings. Now think about your pipeline. Think about your pipeline. Could you imagine having even say, and this is like conservative numbers, 20. 20 is like super low, I had a lot, but if you had 20 for sale by owners in your pipeline, you were gonna get 80% of them. And they're gonna list, think about this, they're gonna list with you between the next 2 to 6 weeks. Do the math. You know, that's a decent part of that's just part. And it's not hard work. It's not expensive work. It's a system. And it can be very time efficient if you use it as a system. But how do you do this? You become a master, right? You have to have a plan. The plan's in writing. They're part of your CRM. Your listing presentation is like a rock star when you're going in to see them. So, you know, doing those sort of things, you're going to be great at that. When you talk to a potential seller, you know, are you telling them that, you know, you're an absolute expert at negotiations? You know, I've taken courses for some of the strongest negotiating courses in the country. I consider myself to be an absolute expert at negotiating contracts. There's nobody in this marketplace that can negotiate a contract like me. You think that your sellers want to hear that that's who's on their side? Is your competition telling them that you are? No? Is that part of your presentation? They want to know that you're a master negotiator. You need to tell them those sort of things. You know, I'm an expert at staging homes. I'm an expert at photography, making the homes look better. Nowadays, particularly, you know, we always say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but now it's worth a lot more than that. Consumers are all online. What do your photos look like? You know, my son recently, you know, dummy, left my wing and moved to, you know, he listened to me too long. What an idiot. 23 years old. Got his real estate license just in December, end of December. Just got his real estate, 3 years, now it's time like, here, learn from Papa. You know, you figure my own friggin' son would listen to me. But he's been listening to me, I figured out, his whole life.
Right.
So what he did is he said, Dad, I live in Fort Myers area. He's like, Dad, I'm not staying here, this place sucks. They call it Cape Coma. He says, I'm moving to Tampa. He was working for my corporate office, so he had a job. He's no dummy, right? So he had a job. He goes out, gets a mortgage while he has a job and an income. So he goes, buys a beautiful pool home, and he moves in January to Tampa. So the same as what I did when I moved to Florida, 23 years old. He has no family, no friends. He doesn't know a soul. But listen, he has no track record. He hasn't even sold a freaking house yet. So, you know, what is he doing? He made $12,000 by February 15th. Not a bad start, right? I was freaking because I'm worried about, you know, here's this kid with a mortgage, like, what's he gonna do? And he's like, you know, and I made sure that he had 12 months in reserve, but you know what happens after the closing? 12 months in reserve went to 2 months in reserve. Oh, I didn't know do you mean I put a deposit on my electric? Are you kidding me? You know, those things pop up. So it's, but anyways, and he's killing it now. He's killing it. He's got a ton of listings. Guess what he does every day? He prospects every day. And he's got a good listing inventory. He's double ending stuff. He's like his first 6 weeks he did 12 grand. He's doing way better than that now. He's probably double to triple. So he's just killing it. But it was, it's doing what you have to do, right? Putting the CRM in place. He's just followed all those steps. So it's interesting for me because I could sit here and talk to you about my hero stories all day. But when I see a young person who doesn't know anything about anything, and honestly he doesn't, dumb as nails, this kid. But going out and doing it just because he's implemented those systems, and what did I tell you at the beginning? Every single one of you has the ability to do it. But the most important thing that you need is knowledge. To become that expert. If you're so confident that your listing presentation is so amazing that when you go into the door of a for sale by owner, you're going to get it, or when you pick up that phone of an expired listing, you're going to get that appointment. That's pretty powerful stuff. When you can leave a huge business back in Canada and come to Florida and sit in this stinky brown office and pick up the phone and get 9 listings in a couple of weeks, that's a lot of power. I actually got a buyer, I remember in that first week, so I had a listing, it was a for sale by owner. I listed it, $127,000 house. I got a call from a signed call, I showed it, long story short, I double ended it, right, of course. They bought the house, and I listed 7% commission, of course. And so I picked up, whatever that was, $8,000, $9,000 in commission. And that was after my first 5 days in real estate here in Florida. I remember on my way home from the office calling my wife and saying, honey, we're gonna be fine. Real estate is exactly the same here as it is in Canada, right? Except it's warmer, it's a lot nicer. People still read print. So like I said, investing in magazines, newspapers, spend your money, push your budget. I cannot tell you. So the first 3 months, so I said, this great story about when I first got my license as a 20-year-old kid, how broke I was when I got my license. You have no idea, it got worse than that. I got broken and broke, because then I became a real estate agent, and I invested any dime I had into advertising and marketing because I saw what the masters were doing and they were spending money. I put an ad, back in those days, newspapers were a real big thing, and I put a little ad in the newspaper. They sell these blocks. To this day, I remember, $54 for a block. So what every agent in the marketplace did is split a block, half of a block per person. You put a little picture of yourself and 3 listings you could put in there, right? And that cost $27. And everybody that advertised, that's what they did. So my first week in the business, I'm so excited. You can imagine after visiting all these rock stars, I'm like, I'm gonna be like #1 realtor here. So I'm gonna advertise. So I put an ad in, took a block, $27. I lived on pasta and tomato juice for 3 months. To this day, I won't eat pasta. Joe had pasta last night. I looked at that. I'm telling you, I just had to turn my head. It's nasty stuff. I will not touch that anymore. Pasta and tomato juice, no more. So $27 for half an ad, and I'll go over this quick. I did that ad, I got an ad call, but I was a master. So when I got that call, I was able to close the client because I'd already had my scripts down. So I closed them, and I used my inventory. What was my inventory? Not the MLS. Somebody's looking for a $125,000 house. Expired listings for sale by owners. I double-ended my first house. And I'm freaking out. I've been in the business like a week or so. I had a couple, I think 3 ad calls from that first ad I put in, and I got a couple ad calls, so I was working with buyers, closed the deal. Well, not closed it, but got a contract. And I'm looking at the contract, I forget the numbers, I think it was $100,000 say. And I double-ended it, $6,000 commission. I worked in the mines, man. And I made big money. I made like 30 grand a year, which was big money in those days. And I made $6,000, and I said, oh, this is gonna be so much fun. So the next week I went to the broker and I said, listen, I wanna take a box out to myself, a whole block. He goes, you're so excited, Neil. You had a good first week. Nobody takes a full block. And I'm like, listen, I pay for it myself. It's $54. I want a freaking block. I got 1 call on 1. I figure if I have twice as much space, I'm gonna get more calls. So he laughed at me and said, okay, go ahead and do what you want. I took 2 blocks. Next week I took 4 blocks, took 8 blocks. 6 weeks later, 6 weeks later, newest real estate agent in the block, full page in newspaper. Full page. And I ran that continuously for years. My phone's running like crazy. How do you think I sold 200 houses my first year? I invested in my business. But I was a master, because when I got a call, I knew how to get calls. I knew how to advertise to get the phones to ring, right? So my ads are very different. And so invest in your business, push yourself. And like everything relates back to having knowledge, but at the same time, it's investing into your business. About doing open houses. You know, what an opportunity. You know, to sit at a house, like go sit at an office or sit at an open house. What are you doing at your office? Go sit at an open house. Yeah, especially in Florida, 7 days a week, these things are busy. You know, but what are your open houses like? Well, I did an open house on Sunday and there was only 2 people who came by. Well, what did you do to promote your open house? Well, I put my signs up. 2 of them blew down. So windy in Florida, it's nasty, right? Are you kidding? So have you studied how to do an open house? Are you putting Facebook posts? Are you boosting them? Are you using social media on it? Are you putting up a sign 1 week before that says open house? Are you knocking on all the neighborhoods? Are you sending out postcards 1 week before to the entire neighborhood? If you do an open house and you have less than 20 people, you're doing something wrong. And it's not because the wind blew down your 2 stinky signs, honestly. Honestly. The buyers aren't coming because of your signs. The buyers are because they've seen your marketing. You know, because you're a master at social media and you know how to use social media. You know, you put it up and you have 130 friends and you ask them to do you a big favor and share this post with all of their 130 friends, right? And then you invest $25 to boost that post, and there's a dozen people at your open house just from one thing. Did you advertise it? Did you put it in the MLS? Did you even bother putting it on Zillow? Right? Are you doing these things for your open houses? So why are you wasting 2 hours in an open house when you're not spending any money getting people there? So I've taken guess where I didn't invent this. I've taken some great courses on learning how to do open houses. And if you're a master, a rock star at open houses, you could actually go sit at open houses 3-4 days a week and make a lot of money. I had a guy, Tim Fitzpatrick, he worked 6 months a year. His schedule was, how did he do that? 3 months on, 3 months off, 3 months on, 3 months. Could you imagine? You know, real estate, when you get out of business, it's hard to get started again. He was the craziest guy. But Tim never had listings. See, all he dealt with was buyers. So, and he was an excellent realtor. He was an excellent realtor. So how he ran his business is because he was very close to, you know, he had a good life and he made a lot of money. So what he would do is he'd come into the business and he'd work for 3 months. His first week, he'd do 7 open houses. And he'd pick up buyers, then he'd do less the next week, but he'd go for 3 weeks and he'd write contracts like crazy. That's all he did was open houses. And he'd write contracts like crazy, but he invested in them, he knew how to do them. He was an absolute master at it. He took the same courses I took, and he had so many people show up at these things that he would write contracts like crazy. And you know, he'd work for 3 months, write all his contracts, and he'd disappear for 3 months. He'd drive me nuts. I was his broker. I'm like, you know, why don't you stay and work for a year for a change? But so, you know, everybody has a different passion, different avenue, but when you see these sort of things, you know this actually works. You know, I talk about listings, oftentimes, you know, the for sale by owners, expires, or even the referrals, overpriced listings. Well, as a young guy, I was really proud because I was able to say, you know, I was such a hot shot, and you know, like I said, a little bit of an ego in those days. And I go to list somebody's house, and it was, you know, say it was worth 200 grand, and they want 250, and of course it was too high, so I would walk away from the listing. But then again, I see another stupid agent go in there and list it for 250, and I'd say, oh, well, look at that dummy, it's never going to sell. And did it? No, of course not. You know, it would reduce 3 months later, and reduce 3 months after that, and 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, and finally it reduces to $200,000 and it sold. Did I get paid? No. No. So I did something like, I said, well, eventually I got smartened up, said, am I stupid? No, I'm going to take all of those overpriced listings. So it was very simple. It's called an overpriced listing plan. When my CRM is an overpriced listing plan, I took every one of them. But I had a plan when I took an overpriced listing. So what happened? They got emailed every single week. Okay, so now you could use your MLS. If you use Top Producer, there's something called Market Snapshot, which is awesome, awesome, awesome. I'll tell you, that tool can make you so much money. It's a whole other story, but if you want to research something, research that. But anyways, all my sellers, regardless of who they were, but particularly overpriced listing, you know, you get a buyer and you put it into your MLS and it'll automatically send them out to do listings when new listings come up, right? So I got a $200,000 listing, it's listed at $250, I know it's worth $200. So every week they got all the new sales, they got all the new listings between $180,000 and $200,000. And that's automatic, right? I'm calling them on a regular basis. I have a plan and a program because I know it's overpriced. So my goal is to reduce it to the right price finally, because I understand people want to try this. And they I hate to say it, but they had another realtor from another real estate company that told them it was worth $250. You're a home seller. What do you want to believe? You know, I could have the greatest listing presentation ever, which I did, and they still won't list it to me because I insisted I put it at my price. So when I finally said, you know what, I give. Yeah, I would be honest with them. It's worth 200, but we'll keep that between us. But if you want to try 250, we're gonna try 250. And then for the next couple of months, and guess what? I started selling those too. So what makes a valuable listing? I learned it wasn't just the price. Okay, because if the price was wrong, what did I need? First off, term. I needed it long. Had to be a year. And I would say, listen, yeah, I already told you you're high in price, so you can't expect me to do this in 3 months. So term, I want a long term. Next thing, what's important is commission, right? You have to have, at least 6 or 7% commission on it, of course. And also, I had to know the motivation. They were motivated to sell, because eventually they are going to sell it. So, so overpriced listings, it was as much as a plan. You think about those listings, what do they do for you? For lead generation, sign calls are some of the best calls in the industry. And a lot of times that we as realtors shoot ourselves in the foot because we give the price out, even at a listing presentation, that makes it us impossible to get that listing. So, and that's a whole other story. But, so what are we doing to be, to learn these plans? Things like traveling, I mentioned earlier. Going to the NAR convention. I've been to the NAR convention every year, probably almost 30 years. Right? Those things are fantastic. You go to, here we have our state convention, the FAR convention. It's right in Orlando. That is awesome. You go there and there's some of the best speakers from around the country show up at these things that you could just go fill an itinerary full. Are you going to learn anything if you go there?
Yeah.
You're going to. So how easy is that? Like, I talked about things like the NAR conference bars. Going to realtor.org is another tremendous resource. We as realtors, that thing's run by NAR. It has a search engine. That's about education. That's a tremendous search tool for you guys. So it's, today, when I asked you to come here, it's, I think the biggest thing, a lot of people, when they meet with me, and particularly people that really know me, they'll ask me, okay, so what, like I said, what's your secret? What do you do different? What I did different is I became a master. I am a master at this field. I can walk into any expired listing or for sale, and I'll challenge you. How's your confidence? If you challenge me that I sat in Ocala today, and you said, listen, it's going to be whatever, detrimental for whatever reason, I have to get a listing at the end of the day. Who wants to put money against me? I'll bet you I can get a listing today. I'll guarantee you. I know I can. There's no doubt I can get a listing. It might be overpriced. It might be. It might be. But I can get a listing. I can get a listing every freaking day. As a listing machine, I listed 7 to 10 properties a week. How do you sell 500 houses a year? Not by dealing with 7 to 10 different buyers a week. That's not going to work. 7 to 10 properties a week. Is that achievable? You have no idea how achievable it was. That's not even great numbers. Honestly, there are people in this country that are doing way better than that. That is not a huge number. I invested myself in other businesses that distracted me from selling real estate, so real estate's kind of part-time. You have the same ability. The only difference between you and me is I have a better knowledge, I have a better presentation, I know my scripts, I know my objection handling techniques, I know this stuff better. And why do I know it better? Was I born with it? I educated myself, and I took it seriously. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Become a master. Become a master of your open house. Next time you have an open house and 2 people show up, kick yourself in your butt, because it's your fault. Right? It's crazy. No, it's honestly, it's so easy to get people to show up, but you have to invest some money, yeah? And you have to do some marketing. You have to be, nowadays, we have to be masters of so many fields, right? Because of what technology has done to us, right? Has given us the ability to reach so many more people. It's awesome, right? But we have to become masters at that. When we started Sellstate, it was myself and Art Darman. I was a regional owner of Sutton Group in Canada. Sutton Group is today the 2nd largest company, and we were actually there for the ride. We started with Sutton Group when it was a small company about the size of Sellstate today. And we became regional owners, and we made this huge company. 2nd largest, number 1 it would be Remax. And we did that in an 8-year period. When I moved to the States, I shared with you, about my aspirations to move to the States, but what my goal was when I moved here was to start a new national company. I was involved with a national company in Canada, but I had a goal and a desire to start a new company. And the reason I wanted to start it is because I had this desire to make things better for realtors, because I was a realtor. I still today, I'm this corporate suit up here. I'm not. I'm one of you guys. I'm a realtor. My head every morning thinks like a realtor. It's embedded in my body. That's what I've done my whole life. I'm a realtor, the same as you guys. So when I started Sellstate, I said, there's got to be something better. I was part of this national company that we made really big, but it was all the same. I've seen the Keller Williams and the Century 21s, and I wanted to make something different. So you know what we did with Sellstate? First off, as I said, to be a realtor, I want to work with the best people in the industry. I do not want to go into the office and work with whoever that's whining around the coffee maker that I did an open house this weekend. 2 people showed up because my signs blew down, right? That's not who I want to work with. I want to work with top agents. So the number one thing that we did, when we created Sellstate, we created it. 2 years it took us sitting to create this model. The number one thing we said is we want the best agents. So look around you. How do you get the best agents? What's the first thing you got to do? Pay them. Pay them is exactly right. You got to pay them. You got to pay them. You guys are not worth a broker taking 35% of their commission. It doesn't work. In today's day of technology, I'm going to tell you something. Our business model has changed. I was a realtor 30 years ago. Every realtor in those days was on a 50-50 split, period. But guess what? The broker paid for everything. They pay for all of our advertising. They pay for everything. Everything. Nowadays, everybody has a home office. We pay for ink. We pay for our internet services. We pay for our cell phones. When was the last time your broker put a friggin' tank of gas in your car? I'm serious. Look at our expenses. As realtors, our expenses have increased dramatically, yet the brokers are still asking these astronomical fees. It doesn't make sense. I'm telling you to invest in your business. How are you going to invest in your business when your broker's taking 30% of your commission? You can't do it. So how do you get the best agents in the industry? Number one, you got to pay them. The second thing that we started is an industry, I really feel that we failed ourselves horribly, and we have. I've been in this business for a long time. I don't have a pension plan. There's no retirement. There's no disability insurance. There's no health care. And the real estate industry across North America is huge. As realtors, as an industry, I really believe that we failed ourselves. So we wanted to make something different. And we did. We created our agent asset development program, where the agents take it. Not only do we pay the highest splits in the industry, but our agents take 5% sponsoring bonus for anybody that got to join. Very different than any model in the industry. And nobody can ever argue that because it works. We post on our website every single month. Our average payout's $1,200. Our high runs between $12,000 and $16,000 a month. Our agents are getting. And there's a whole bunch in the middle making $3, $4, $5 grand a month. It's not based on productivity of the office. And the other reason why it works is this, because it's based on high commissions. If I have companies like Exit that says, oh, well, we got a residual income. Well, great, the agents are on a 60-40 split. Get a good agent to go work there. You can get a good agent to go work at Sellstate because they're going to get top commissions. They're going to be around top agents, and you will benefit by building your AAD. I have a very touching story that happened to me in November of this year. Sellstate agent called me up, and what happened just before this, I don't think this was, he thought he had a heart attack in the office. Hit the floor, called an ambulance, they pulled him out in an ambulance. He thought he was dying. The guy's been with us for a long time, I know him really well. And he called me a couple weeks after this happened. And it was very touching because think of us as realtors. We don't have an exit strategy. He said, Neil, I'm going to tell you something. When I was in the back of that ambulance, I was positive I was dying. I was having a heart attack. He said, and when that happens to you, when you get in the back of an ambulance and they close that door on you, he said, you don't think about your next deal. You don't think about the appointment you're missing. All you think about is your family. That's all you think about. He has 2 young children. He has a wife. He lost this house through the recession, through a short sale, like 99% of us have done. And he said, I didn't have anything. He said, but only thing that gave me comfort is he has his AED. He's been with us 7 years. He's making in the neighborhood of $4,000 or $5,000 a month, big numbers. And he said, what gave me reassurance is knowing that if anything happened to me, that would be given to my family. and I was going to take care of it. That is powerful. There's not a real estate company in the nation that gives you the ability to do that. Nobody gives you the ability. So as much as a Sellstate agent goes, I'm going to tell you something. Not only do you have a tremendous environment these guys have created, but you have the ability that nobody else in the nation does. So go out and build your AAD program. Make that work for you, because it can make the differences. I know Brian shared with me he's using it to pay his health care, right? He gets his check deposited, his health care check comes out the day after. How awesome is that, right? What company is paying you guys 95% commission plus writing you a check for a couple $1,000s a month? Who's doing that in this town? Oh, right? Yeah. Mr. Kelly puts up his hand. The next thing, though, that you can tell that I'm passionate about is about as realtors. What do we need as tools? You know, when we created Power Suite, you know, that we actually affiliated lead generation programs with Zillow and Homes.com. You know, I look at realtors that oh, I got a website. I'm like, oh, great, let me see it. Well, it's not a website, it's a freaking web page. And I hate to say it, but go to coldwellbanker.com. You know how many consumers are going to coldwellbanker.com to look for houses? None. Where are the consumers going? Zillow, Trulia, Homes.com, Realtor.com. Top 4 websites in the world, so that's getting all the market share. That's where everybody's going. Where are our websites? We go directly off Homes.com and we pay for our affiliation through Zillow. For lead generation that goes directly to our agents. Your websites are full websites, are fully customized. They have IDX on them. You could actually use them for tremendous lead generation. They actually work. So as a realtor, you're not fooling yourself to think you have a website. You have a website that actually works. And it doesn't cost you a single dime. You know, our CRM with the drip campaigns and things like that we have in it. Design center, social media integration, right? Social media is so important. You need to become a master. 30% of you are going to be gone over the next 3 years if you don't get into technology. So we made that important. But you know what? When we did it, every real estate company in this nation that I'm aware of that has technology tools for their agents, they charge it. They charge it. The only company that has a technology package comparable to ours, I would say would be RE/MAX. I don't know if there's RE/MAX agents in here, but they charge you $400 a month for it. Less than 10% of the agents use it because it's too expensive. Because when you go to FEMAX, it's already expensive per month, right? And then I got to pay another $400 for my technology suite. But you know what? When we created, we were very happy. So when we created Power Suite, because I looked at my background. When I moved from Canada to Florida, what made the difference with me? Why was I able to do the volume I did? And I'm going to tell you, the one technology. I had the best websites. I had the best lead generation. I ran the CRM like a master. You know, it was technology. I know that every one of you need the technology. And if I put a charge on it, even $100 a month, I know that half of you won't take it. Because I hate to say it, but you're freaking cheap. So what did we do? We gave it to you for free. We gave it to you because we knew you needed it. When we created Sellstate, our #1 goal was to create an environment of productive agents. And us as your corporate office will do anything to increase production. And that's what we're continuously working on, is new tools and new ways. And right now what you have today is not going to be what you're going to have in 6 months, because we are staying ahead of the ball, and we will keep you ahead of the ball. But those are the tools, so that's the environment you need to work in. So if it comes down to, you know, our agent asset development program that is changing people's lives that I see on a regular basis, you know, our technology package, getting paid some of the highest commissions in the industry, or working with other realtors. You know, we are so proud to have you guys as the Sellstate agents here. But if you're not a Sellstate agent, you're in this room today, I'm going to tell you something. You need to look at this very seriously. Very seriously. Because there is nothing like it. You know, one of the most common things that we get is an objection is, oh no, it's too good to be true. Right? You guys hear that? It's not too good to be true. It is actually very real. And we want to create something different. I was in Colorado 2 weeks ago, our regional owner up there, and did some meetings. And I'm going to tell you something else that I want us to create as Sellstate Realtors. I want us to be the good guys. My son, I shared with you, he was getting into business, so I've been helping him a little bit, right? I helped him on a contract negotiation and just a few things with the business. And you know what I find? And I'm freaking out. So I'm talking to a lot of non-Sellstate agents now, contract negotiation, stuff my son's dealing with, right? As a realtor, what you guys deal with every day. The agents in the business, they are nasty. They're nasty. They're so nasty. Like you pick up the phone and they're like jumping down your throat for whatever. It's like, I'm freaking out. There's not nice people. And I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. You know, so, and I hate to say this, but I had a Sellstate agent when I was kind of started observing this. And so she was so upset. A realtor brought her a contract. It was, it was her listing. So another agent from another company brought her a contract, an FHA contract. And that agent was a young agent, might have been their first contract, didn't know what they were doing, didn't get the right guidance from their broker, obviously. And the Sellstate agent was livid, said, oh, that stupid agent, they're so dumb, they don't know what they're doing, they're so blah, 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 blah. I'm like, stop, what are you doing? I said, pretend that was your son bringing you the contract. Would you treat him any different? Because it's another realtor, you gotta start being nice. You know, when somebody attacks you on the phone, and this happened to me with my son. I was calling, it was over a contract negotiation. And it was the stupidest thing that she freaked out and started jumping down my throat. And you know what? I just killed her with kindness. I am gonna give him kindness and sweetness back because you know what? And at the end of the conversation, she turned over, and for the rest of that transaction, it turned much better. The best deal transaction you'll ever have is this. You ever do a transaction with like your best friend in the business, your realtor buddy, right? Where you listed it, they sold it. Have you ever done that deal? Right? That is an awesome, does it not always go smooth? Yeah. Right? Judy, do a deal with your daughter, right? You ever gonna have a problem, you have the listing, she has a buyer, it's gonna be smooth, right? It's gonna be smooth. You know, when you make the two, the buyer and seller love each other. I don't care, you know, trust me, I was a listing agent. I said I carried 150 to 200 listings. That was 150 to 200 pains in the butt that I dealt with every single day. But I would never, never tarnish any one of them to another. I would never say, you know, you're showing the home and sometimes that listing agent is a little bit of a butthead, but you don't go to your client and say, oh, that listing agent's such a butthead. You don't tell your seller, oh, that buyer's such an idiot. No, it's like, they're awesome. I love them. Harmony. It will make your deals go better. But also when you're on the phone, your natural reaction, and I get this, when you're on the phone, your natural reaction when somebody attacks you is to defend yourself and attack back. I want you to think about this today. I want you to change. I want us to change. This company can change the marketplace. You have no idea how a company can impact the people around you, and you can impact the people around you. So you need to give this some thought. Because when we created Sellstate, we wanted to create the most highly productive real estate company in the world. But besides that, and even what's more important to me, is that we're the best people. We're the nicest people. We're the agents that when somebody calls that they want to do business with you. And when they jump down your throat and they say you're unethical and they tell you that you're whatever and you're not doing this right, you just take a deep breath. Harmony, Zen, right? And you treat them with kindness and I'm serious.
Yeah.
You will make a difference in this community. And I'm going to tell you something. I couldn't be prouder of you guys for selling the most houses and being the best agents. But I want you to be the best people. And if we make that change here, we'll make this change across the nation. And we will be known as a real estate company with integrity that are good quality people. And that's what I want. And that's what we have. But I think that we need to go that extra mile because I see the industry changing. And it's getting nastier and nastier. Now, like I said, I think probably most people in this room could look back at yourself and think that conflicts, I'll never show their houses, I'll never, you know, and you have, stop. Stop, they're all people, and believe it or not, they're not bad. We create a lot of our own problems. So I think that if we can, and I know we can, make an extra effort, that this company will change the real estate community moving forward, and it's going to be the place everybody should be working at. Thank you.